Hey, this is Taki from East Adam, and you're on Popularity.
Could you briefly describe the music making process? How did the process differ this time around?
Well, we certainly had our backs up against the wall, so we had to rise to the occasion. It certainly had to outdo the last record, which was a pretty solid offering. I mean, we set the bar decently high with Clean to Eden, and a lot of our fans really loved that record, and, you know, they were definitely wondering what direction we were going to go and if there was any possibility that we could top it. So we had that incentive. And also, you know, we had been away for a bit due to some, you know, business entanglements and contractual situations with our previous label that needed to be wrapped up and whatnot. So, you know, circumstances were before us that we had a lot to overcome and we had a lot to prove again. And I think we're the kind of band that when we're presented with situations like that, we rise to the occasion. You know, we've been challenged in our lives as men in this band, you know, to kind of find ourselves and really, we checked in with ourselves to be like, kind of like, are we going to do this again? You know, if we're going to do it, then we're all in and we have to double down. You know, with a lot of experience, we realized quickly what a commitment this is and how much of yourself you need to dedicate to doing this. And when we got back in the ring, so to speak, we had to be able to go the distance. And everyone had to really check themselves and go, am I ready and willing to do this again? You know, because anything short of 150% is not going to cut it, especially with how hard this business has become and so saturated with so many artists, so much competition. So, you know, that's basically what this process was. I mean, we made this material to you know, to last on the road quite a bit, because we felt if we scored with one song, we'd be out for a while. So, you know, we had to satisfy ourselves and satisfy the audience, and I think we did a great job with that. We really enjoyed playing this new material, and so far the reaction and response has been nothing short of amazing. So I'm very thankful for that.
When playing shows this time around, what was the thought process like for creating the set list?
Well, the set list right now is pretty much favorable to the new album. But obviously, you know, we still have a couple of songs off the previous record that are in rotation in various radio stations across the country. So there are certain standards that, you know, that are always going to be part of the set list. I mean, Two Pills, Gift, 151, those have become East Adam standards. So we try to make sure that the set is as high-powered, octane fueled as possible. So, you know, it's got to be adrenaline paced, and we try to make sure that the energy level is at a certain level. So that sometimes that has, you know, a bit to do with which songs we pick. It also depends on the audience in the venue. I mean, sometimes for an all-ages show, it'll be, you know, definitely a little bit more on the higher tempo tunes, a little more intensity. You know, a little bit of an older audience or a median age audience, you know, we might slip in some things that are, you know, require a little bit more attention span. So it's, you know, we're not the kind of band that just plays the same set list all the time. We do like to fluctuate it. A big thing for us is keeping it interesting for us. I feel that, you know, if it's interesting for us, then it will be for the listener, for the audience. If I'm on stage and I'm bored, then I'm sure, you know, pretty sure that so does the audience. So try to keep it fresh, and that way we keep the energy up and keep it moving.
Are there any songs that surprised you on the album by taking a different direction than you initially thought that they would?
There's a song on the record called It's Getting Weird Without You, which was a song I wrote actually at the start of my career with Desmond Child. You know, it's about 10 years old, and it's something that in going through old demos and material for this record, trying to pick what we were going to record, it's something my management really encouraged us to do. They really believed in the song. They thought it was a high-quality song. And I was a little bit trepidatious about it because I wasn't quite sure if we could bring it into the realm of the East Adam sound as far as the authenticity of the rock sound and everything. So I was really pleased in how that turned out. It really came out very authentic and very organic. And to be honest with you, a song that I wasn't that excited about doing turned out to be one of my favorites now. And actually, a really great moment on the record when the tune comes on. It's a breath of fresh air, and it's kind of a pause, and it's a different flavor. So that was a surprise, certainly that one.
Is there a song on the album that you regard as pivotal, a song that pointed you in the direction that you wanted to take with the album?
I think Run Your Mouth was the song that set the tone for the album. It was the first song we really demoed for this new record, and it's the first song we ended up recording. So, it turned out to be really strong, and the energy level and the intensity of it set the pace for the rest of the album. So I was, it's all about getting the first one out of the way, so to speak, so you can kind of settle in and figure out what kind of album this is. So I like the fact that Run Your Mouth has that big kind of rock chorus and rock sound to it, but a little bit of a different feel for us rhythmically, and it's still driving and powerful, but still very melodic, and offers a little bit of a different flavor for us. So it definitely satiated a lot of different necessities that we wanted from a marquee song, which it's certainly become, and subsequently now the first single.
How did you know when you had a collection of songs, know that you reached the point where you finally say, okay, this is the album? Like, what does that feel like?
You know what? It's funny because we try to make as much of a well-rounded composition as possible. We definitely keep in mind that we'd like something on there for everybody, but yet still it has to be within the realm of what is the band's sound and the band's world. So it's a bit of trial and error, to be honest. I mean, sometimes you think it's just going to be a 10-song album. Sometimes you want to push a little farther, but, you can't quite have that standard in mind to the point where, okay, we have to have 12 songs, because for us what it was about the quality of the songs, and we didn't want to just have to force a song on there just to meet a certain quota. It had to be a certain level of quality, and that's pretty much the determinant for what makes the album and what doesn't. And how you decide that, I mean, you live with the songs, you're performing them in the studio, you've been performing them through pre-production and rehearsals. So, by this point, the way we know each other and what we do, you just pretty much know it's a gut feeling, and you kind of go with that. We still make a lot of our decisions instinctually, and, sometimes we're wrong, but I'd like to say on this album we were more often we were right. So I think we got it right this time, which is it's a good feeling, and it's nice to get that kind of feedback from other people. To think that you got it right, but then to have it quantified by somebody saying, I drove to this album the other day, and I've got a good friend of mine who took a road trip, and he asked me for the album, so I gave it to him. And he took it down to Virginia, on a road trip, and he goes, man, it passed the road test. It was just the right length. Each song has its own identity. Nothing's repetitive, but it all flows together and has it coalesces. So, these things aren't easy. Albums are a lot harder to make than people give artists credit for. I mean, it's not easy to make a great album that has a thread that runs through it and really, represents the sound of the band, and yet it keeps your attention. So, but we were conscious of the fact that we really wanted to make a solid, album. And we did that with Queen Seed, and so we really had no choice. We had to push forward and do it again.
Can you talk a bit about the artistic growth you feel you've experienced during this creation period?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the truth is it's been 4 years since the last album, and, we've gone through a lot of ups and downs in our personal lives. And, when you're met with challenges in your life, to overcome those challenges, you have to do, pretty deep self-evaluation sometimes. And you have to take a hard look in the mirror and question things about yourself, and question your motivations, and question your level of commitment and your discipline, like I said before. So experiences with relationships, experiences with personal growth, experiences with loss. There's a song on the record called Hold the Light, which is dedicated to one of our really good friends that passed away last year. He was a musician from the West Coast, that we recorded our first album, Quincy, and we recorded our album at his studio in Simi Valley, California. His name was Matt Shigi. And he passed away last year tragically and suddenly. So, life deals with situations that you ultimately think you're ready for sometimes, but you're just really not.